Hello and welcome to the next lesson from me, which is going to be an Italian game played in the modern way, and we are going to see a successful attack on the Kingside. It's a game of mine which I played very recently, and well, it's not a perfect game in terms that we both made a few inaccuracies. Well, black quite a few more, but it's a good example on some intermediate level how a typical game on intermediate level can go, and you will see the typical play what you can expect from your opponent. Of course, the grandmaster would play it better, but this is kind of instructive because you see how an average opponent plays chess, and you can see how to defeat an average opponent who knows how to play chess, he knows the opening, he knows the basic strategy, but he's not that experienced in this type of structure. And well, basically he just makes a few mistakes and his gets completely crushed. But the point is how to lead an attack on the Kingside. In modern Italian, it's a very good opening to play for if you like to attack without taking too much risk. So, well, let's get to it. We start e4, classic, knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4, the Italian game. Now, black plays the bishop c5 variation. Fair enough. He's just trying to hitting the pawn f2. Okay, c3, taking control of the center here. Right. Just a second, I need to check something. So now this pawn wants to control these squares here, possibly later enabling d pawn. Therefore, black just hits the pawn. Now I play d3 to protect, all pretty standard moves, and well, he goes symmetrically d6, which is fair enough. Now, I would like to mention that in this position you still don't know what's black going to do. He still hasn't castled. He will probably castle as he did in his game, but he doesn't have to. So, first, what you want to do, you want to kind of wait a little bit to see what he does, because you need to decide which part of the board you want to attack. So a good waiting move is simply h3, covering this square from the knight, from this knight, or from the bishop. Because h6, it kind of copies the structure, which is okay, but it's not especially dangerous for white, I mean. And now, what I like to do is just keeping the bishop away, because I don't want it to get hit by the knight. You know, why? Now the pawn is protected, so the knight could just harass the bishop. I don't want that. I want to keep this bishop. This bishop is quite important here. So in case he would go now here, I could simply just tuck it away and then maybe play here. Anyway, he played bishop c2, bishop e6, and I played bishop c2. Like that. And, well, I just don't want to exchange the bishops. It's okay to leave it there, you can leave it there and just exchange, but could even take here, but I want something different. I want to try and attack here, and the bishop for the moment is quite good here, although he will come back to life later, perhaps with some later push like that. Right. So, well, just takes the bishop away, and now the important maneuver which I want to make is knight here, here, and then either here or here, because these squares are quite weak and I want to put one of my knights there. Now finally black decides to castle, which is good, but there's a problem. The problem is this pawn. He's made this move and now I have something to bite on, because I'm going to push my pawns here and use this pawn to open lines. You will see what I mean later. For the moment I continue my maneuver. You can notice that white's game is a little bit slow, but it doesn't really matter. His king is still in the center, but his position is kind of closed. If black now would like to open the game, it moves like this, right? Then what you want to do is you want to move your queen here, so it protects the pawn, and just keep these pawns intact. You don't want to move these. You want to keep it here, especially your pawn is an important defender of the king, as long as the king is in the middle, of course. But black played knight h7, which is reasonable, and what he wants to do, he wants to play f4. Now, to open the lines, and he wants to hit me here, with the rook and the bishop. But there's a problem. Yes, now I play g4, and he cannot move f4 in one move. He can't do this and then that, because this will hang. So now he decides just to use his other knight and support somehow this push. It's not clear to me what he wants to do, because he still can move this, and he can do this because he's just going to take here. Well, I just get my knight where I wanted him to be. The knight is very well placed here. He's looking at these three squares, especially this square is important, the f5. Now, I think now black doesn't really know what to do, so he just tries to push in the center now. He wants to attack here. But I don't mind. I just put my queen here as I would normally. Put his queen there. Again, I'm not sure what he wants to do. Probably rook's coming here, but it's not really doing much. Now I begin to move my other knight, and the knight is going to here. The f5 square is the most important square actually in this position, because from here, if you can put a knight there, which like there's a good outpost there, it's very difficult for black to defend, because from this square, knight will control all these squares, and can even sacrifice here or here, and it's causing a lot of trouble for black. So he's probably going to exchange the knight at all costs. But I'm not going there yet, right? So, well, I did go there, but just with one knight. Now, probably he should have exchanged with the knight, but he didn't, which I quite don't understand. This is the first mistake he makes. He just goes here. What he wants to do, he wants to push it here, which is a good outpost for him, but the problem is I can just take it off, or well, I don't even have to take it off, you'll see. I can just push here and prepare g5. That's the move I want to make. To make g5 to open lines. He wants here, he goes here, attacking my queen, also threatening some checks. So one option would be simply to take, but then after this, well, I would probably get to go here, and yeah, I'm hitting that. It's not that good. It's okay. It's still, it probably takes, and then I open the file, so definitely there's some pressure here. but I lost one of my knights and I don't want to exchange pieces yet. You see, when it is a position like this, a lot of pieces and black has more space, right? It's kind of cramped, like these pieces can't move too much, like this bishop can't really move anywhere, this queen can't move, this knight is just gonna go here, right? So you didn't want to exchange pieces at this point. So what I did is just queen f3, covering this square, and preparing now to take here, and then taking the pawn with the queen. So now he has to basically go back. He's achieved nothing, and my queen is in a good square here, protecting f5, and she's getting closer to the enemy king. In general, as a rule of thumb, if you are attacking the king side, or any king position basically, you want to get your heavy pieces, that is your queen and your rooks, into the attack, as close to the king as possible. So we'll see how it goes. I just developed my last piece. It's just also making room for castling here, so that I can castle and get my king to safety here if needed. And now finally black decides to take the bordering knight. Now the question is, how do I recapture? I was thinking about capturing here, because the rule is that you should capture with the pawns towards the center, right? So this means towards the center, but I would open the file, but the problem is you could take this, and well, this is kind of problematic, because then knight comes here. I don't want my queen here probably, but then he just goes here, and well, it's okay actually. Now the knight is kind of trapped. He can just take it here. It's okay, but I didn't want to do that. So I didn't want to lose this pawn. So what I did was simply take the knight. Now, see, I have lost one knight, but this knight cannot be driven away easily, because this move is not possible, and there's no white square bishop to control these fields. So now I'm getting ready for g5 push, maybe sacrificing later here for the bishop. Well, incidentally, it was possible to capture this, but as I said, I don't want to lose the pawn. Okay, so I just castle for the time being. And also this prepares the rook coming here, which will pressurize the king. Here it was possible to not castle, but go for the attack, go for the kill. Right away. g5. Now, he probably has to block with h5. But then he's losing this pawn, and well, it's not really looking good. Exchange some pieces, castle now, and he tries to exchange the pieces, which is very sound if he's under attack. But the problem is now this knight is trapped. This knight cannot go anywhere. This pawn is doing an excellent job, and you can always think about pushing it. This bishop can also come here and pressurize this diagonal, as it did, or as it could have done. Could have. Now he tries to push my queen. I go back, and this wasn't playing the game, but this is a possibility which I analyzed with a computer. The computer says this is the best way to play. The point is, black would have been better than in the actual game here, maybe with perfect play, but still, you see, the point is I want to push this pawn and Just open the lines. That's the key. Opening these two lines so that the rooks can come into play. And there's really no way to stop this. He tries, the king, he can't do that, but I'm just going in. I'm sacrificing a pawn temporarily. Going the queen. Again, the queen has to go into the fire, has to go close to the king to attack. Tries to protect. Just take this. I already opened the H file. The king has to take. Now, a little combination. Checking here. He can't go here because it's mate. He has to go here. Just take this. Temporary sacrifice. Just takes. Now check again. Can go back. Double attack. Hitting the rook and the king. So getting back the piece. And well, basically now I have the exchange. When the exchange, the threat is taking the knight and hitting the king, checking and taking the queen. So the problem is the attack is still going on, the king is not safe, and I have an extra pawn and the rook for the knight, so this is winning for white, definitely. Let's go back. So I didn't go for this quite fast and maybe a little bit premature g5. I just castled, but I'm going g5 very soon anyway. Goes back. I think he doesn't really know what to do. He's just cramped here. He tries to hit here, but it's just not effective. Now comes the g5, and now it's even more powerful because now it's hitting simultaneously these 2 points, f6 and h6. Now, well, if the knight goes back, I just take this, opening the file. Tries to exchange, I don't mind, I just push on. He has to go back. Again, taking here. Just exchanging, and now just running away. But if he took this mate, it's very soon. Checked with the rook, king into the corner. Now queen coming here. Exchanging, but there's no way. You can try that, but as soon as you open the lines, the king is. You see, the problem is the black pieces are just here. They're not protecting. The king is alone. So that's quite hopeless. So he decides to just sacrifice the knight. And what he does is just goes with the king here, trying to protect it. The king is now a little bit safer on this file, because this file hasn't been opened yet, but this is already open. So he tries to get there, but well, I won a piece already, so even if the attack doesn't continue, I'm happy. But even after winning the piece, my attack still goes on. So now the queen goes here. It's also possible, by the way, just push with the pawn and then sacrifice here, temporarily taking this, and well, this is just going down here. There's no defense. You can just exchange queens, and my rooks are coming here. This is going to open. This diagonal is going to open. It doesn't really. It's a hopeless position, and I'm still a piece up. Okay, so I put it. This was a fast controls game, so I didn't play the best piece, but it was good enough. But the queen to h5, getting very close to the king now, and preparing the sacrifice on h6. Probably I'm going to sacrifice with the bishop. Well, now we just make some random move. He probably wants to push here, but this is useless. I put my second rook to put some more pressure here and here, and this is already going down. d4 tries to push here, maybe tries to open some lines here if I take, and then yeah, maybe just wants to kind of attack on these fields, but it's just way too slow. There's really no attack here. And I can sacrifice right away, which I did. And he takes back, taking the queen, and this is already leading to mate. There's no defense. Yeah. So, king back. It was possible to play the bishop here, taking this powerful diagonal. And now the threat is simply taking this. This is pinned, so now this pawn can't move. This is game over. Actually, what I did was I used this pin and just hitting the knight. It's basically the same, right? And we made a blunder. Just tried to drive away my queen. We just didn't notice that this is mate, right? But anyway, even if he did something else, right, there was not much. After I take this, what can you do? The king cannot move. Knight cannot move. There's no way. Maybe just giving the queen. But yeah, okay. No, so like being for another move, but yeah, just going in. And again, yeah, you could now go here, but yeah, even this is winning. So yeah, again, the lesson is important moments. Knight should go to f5. If you can establish a knight in the outpost, it's very powerful for hitting these squares. And then, as if your opponent plays this pawn to h6, always keep in mind that g4, g5 is an option. Opening the lines, getting your heavy pieces into the attack. You see, in the end, or just right before the end, basically every single piece of mine is an attack. Both rooks, the knight, the bishop, the queen. Just this bishop is not, but well, he could still go here if needed later, like we have seen here in this position. It was possible to just go in here and yeah, all the pieces in the attack. This rook is doing nothing, this rook is doing nothing, the queen is doing nothing, and these two pieces can't hold it. So that's the way to attack. If you want to play, and you notice I didn't took too much of a risk. As we came back into the game, I made a kind of slow developing game, right? He tried some counterplay with f4 or f5. He didn't get to it anyway. And now these knights, you see, I'm not castling. If I castle here, it would be a mistake. I can just, my king can sit in the middle. It's quite safe here. He later went to the Kingside, Queenside, as we've seen, and well, the attack just went through. And yes, of course, this was not played perfectly by black. He made few mistakes. First mistake was probably, well, these knight shuffles here, like this going this knight here. This was not a good idea, right? I had to go back, and then taking this, well, not so good either. And then you just made useless moves. There's no way. He tried in the center, but he didn't even manage to open the center. Another point: if you want to attack on the king side, you have to keep your center closed, so there's no counter attack, or at least partially closed, as I did here. Right, and these moves, this was another mistake. You just, this knight here is just going to get hit by this pawn, so there's no point in putting it. It should have stayed there. It kind of prevented g5 for the time being. So yeah, didn't know what to do with the knight too much. Yeah, he made a second mistake here, and now it was all over. Right, after this. So yeah, just an example of how you can play in the opening in the Italian. It's a good system because it's kind of universal, which doesn't really matter if he goes with bishop here, or if the bishop remains there, or if he goes here, or the bishop comes here or here. It's all the same. The only thing you have to keep an eye on is, has he done this move? Then g4. Has he castled? We can go for attack. It is also possible he castles the other way, and obviously this attack doesn't apply if he goes to the queen side. But yeah, as long as you see h6 played and the castling, don't castle the same way. Stay in the middle if you can, keep this in the closed, castle them in the other side, and just play for g4, g5. So that's it. Thank you for your attention, and see you next time. Bye bye.